nonprofits, that's churches, that's employment, that's housing. It's all of that.
You're absolutely right. And I want people to also talk to your Congress people about this, because what we're dealing with right now is not just a systematic attack. It is an attempt to resegregate America. They call it DEI, you can call it diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is a conversation about segregation. If you remember from American history class in high school, they talked about de facto versus de jure segregation. When you remove the legal protections that integrate institutions, when you violate that order from Supreme Court saying with all deliberate speed to use, as LBJ said, affirmative action in order to integrate institutions, we are talking about the resegregation of America, the resegregation of the American workforce, the resegregation of American educational institutions, and then the resegregation of the American dollar. Because as Janice Mathis says all the time, during slavery, discrimination and enslavement was not about proximity. They'd have a black slave warm up their bed, breastfeed their children, and make their grandchildren for them. They were not mad about being around black folks. It was about the power dynamic of that relationship. When you take away access to capital, when you take away access to housing, when you take away access to education, you're putting us back into a place that we haven't been in 150 years as black folks in America. And I, for one, refuse to be the generation where we have to look back at the ancestors and say, what the hell happened? We handed y'all everything, and y'all let it go away for a $1,500 check 7 years ago and a Sexy Red and Waka Flocka Flame concert? Is that what we're really doing as black folks in this country? So we have to put together a plan around this and how to fight back. It's not just enough to do speeches. Tomorrow morning, Congressman Cleo Fields and Congressman Jonathan Jackson are doing a live stream at 10 a.m. on both of their Instagram pages to talk exactly about the Congressional Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Caucus and these attacks that we're now seeing also on voting rights. I remind people that this is just step one. Listen to Charlie Kirk. Listen to Ben Shapiro. They've been talking about for the last 3 or 4 years repealing the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Not just gutting the Voting Rights Act and what's left of that husk, making sure that it can never be revived again. Stacking the federal courts to ensure that any protections for desegregation, affirmative action, or diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are rooted out from the bottom and up. Even right now, the president and vice president are compelling our European allies through this tariff policy to get rid of diversity programs in their own countries, while also offering visas to South American whites who they feel are being discriminated against. It is exceedingly clear what the policy of this administration is. Deport 10 to 20 million brown people, destroy the economies of black and brown nations, annex Canada and their majority white population, make Greenland a territory and their majority white population, import white South Africans from South Africa with visas and incorporate them into the population. When Elon Musk talks about we need to save Western civilization, we need to make more babies, they're not talking about Consuela, they're not talking about Lakeisha, they're talking about Bonnie and everyone else from those European nations. This is a plan that David Duke talked about in 1988 that we're seeing being brought to fruition today, and we are sitting around watching it happen.
I am constantly